see the Lee Sin, the Akali, high damage output champions, guys that are going to be able to execute your backline, kill off priority targets where possible. The saving grace on Marshall's side might just be that Annie. You know, I criticize
Extremely scary to say the least.
and it's so difficult because, you know, even if you want to go for these big team fights to look for multiple targets with your ultimates, it's still very difficult to do so. A lot of the time, you could see that Volley are likely going to be spread out, are going to be split pushing because that's the nature of the team composition. So do you force onto the single target, hope that one kill is going to be worth it? How many targets, rather, how many players, how many of your teammates can you invest into looking for that 1 or 2 kills? And that's kind of the question that Marshall kind of have to ask. How much are they willing to invest and how much would they gain in return?
Well, exactly. I'm also interested to see whether or not we're actually going to have impact coming out of Marshall's jungle immediately off the bat. Because already take a look on your minimap. You got that Lee Sin going for an invade, trying to take away resources from that jungle and trying to put that Mumu behind early on so that they can't make an impact in the lanes right away.
I want to talk a little bit about the top lane matchup because Akali moving into the top lane, or rather into the Baron lane against the Malphite. Oh my goodness, what is this fight going on? A bit of an invade coming through, good damage heading over onto the side of Marshall. One target so low, Ice, just barely surviving at this point. The Braum continues with the chase, drops the exhaust, but will see his health bar drop very low here. You can see hovering over by the side, the Lee Sin looking for a second opportunity to re-engage. Sonic Resonance down for the moment, so they're just going to have to back away from this one. But a good invade coming from Volley and a stout defense from Marshall.
I do like, though, from Marshall, what we just saw was the fact they were able to recognize, hey, there's an invade going on, we will collapse. And in all honesty, no one went down. I don't know who exactly got the blue buff because I wasn't able to see it right off the bat, but it does look like bot lane. They're starting to make action happen.
Look like Lee Sin picks up the first kill here.
So that's first blood, as well as now we do see that blue buff underneath the Lee Sin. So that's also a successful invade away from one of the buffs. The Amumu's going to have to try and catch back up as far as experience goes, so won't have that level 5 immediately. And on top of that, you gave first blood over to this Lee Sin, and we have talked about it multiple times when we take a look toward Volley, how lethal they can be with this champion from the jungle, and maybe even looking for a play up top as well.
Yeah, making constant rotations, playing towards the top side, but at the same time, look at where the Sona, look at where the Amumu are right now, hovering around the bot side, around the Dragon Lane, means that the Malphite is stuck alone and likely to get ganked here. Moving forward, Akali drops the ultimate early, looking to try and get the cash. No unstoppable force available for the Malphite just yet. Good damage coming through. Akali dashes in, was not able to get the lockdown, couldn't find the kill, but still good damage overall here.
Yeah, Bichan got to be a little bit careful there because the level 5 did just tick over for that Malphite, and that could have been disaster. The team really tested their limits as far as whether or not there was just going to be some natural XP coming on in. But look at mid lane. You already almost have a full kill coming out here from Musang on this Orianna. Again, a pick we haven't seen VM play a whole lot just yet.
Right, but we have seen original map play a little bit of Annie yesterday. Did pretty well for his team. I think he actually got the MVP for the game that he was playing Annie in. So that's quite a good sign, I would say, for the side of Team Marshall at least. But again, my criticism still lies there. We take a quick look over to the Baron lane, where it looks like first target is going to be handed over. Malphite didn't seem to go down there, but they still had to back away. So first target going to be handed over. Rift Herald could be the next target once it spawns up. Bit of an invade coming through. He's going to get locked down. Lots of damage coming through. The flash away defensively. Moving in. Looking to try and assist the Lee Sin, but they aren't going to be able to find it. And he gets taken down with a little bit of an aggressive invade.
So finally, we get to see this Lee Sin get punished. And it does look like there was some decent vision coming out there from the side of Marshall. So they were saying, hey, you know what? This Lee Sin, they're going to try and keep on invading into our jungle. Let's try and collapse and make it happen. They are able to get themselves a shutdown. And on top of that, they didn't lose much pressure, minus that first tier tower in top lane, which is kind of a disappointment. And you also see that Akali going deep.
Trying to chase in right now, but just going to back away from this, still looking to try and just farm up a little bit, hit that point of power, get the items that she needs. Has a difficult time trying to burst out the Malphite, so loses a lot of the kill pressure there, but has multiple targets she could go for afterwards. For now, she's going to be satisfied at using this lane and just really taking control.
But this is now kind of concerned because we've mentioned when it comes to Team Volley is once they start getting pressure into a side lane and getting that now exerted into the own jungle as Ice trying to at least get that steal, but this is messy.
Jumping in, nice curse to set. Mummy gets locked down over onto 2. The Braum likely to go down. The Ignite taken through, and Original Matt picks up the kill for the first one in this fight. Exhaust going to be used onto the enemy team, just forces away Volley. And once again, Volley with the aggressive invade going to get punished.
So they're able to now actually catch out Volley every time they go for an invade. The only thing they're starting to a little bit lack here is the fact that this Akali is now able to roam away from this side lane, and that itself is going to be a problem because the Malphite is just being put onto wave clear duty, and that's one of your other big initiators that you want to have included in these team fights. But if they're always up into a side lane, that's not what Marshall wants. So I'm a little concerned here that this Akali could start just roaming all over the map and taking control of everything else.
Yeah, Malphite has a pretty simple role here. He goes into the lane, he pushes it out, rinse and repeat, then he starts roaming over. The issue is, like you mentioned, Akali just has way too much wave clear, is able to get control around this riverside, and that has been kind of an issue with the Lee Sin invading into the jungle. Thankfully, up until this point, Marshall had been able to defend well against the Lee Sin invades, but I can see at some point the Lee Sin is just going to outscale, outramp the Mumu. If he's able to one-shot him, there's not much else you can do. You just kind of have to accept the fact that your jungler is going to die before you can even get there. And naturally, with the top turret down, the Baron lane turret down, Rift Herald's going to be the next objective in the eyes of Volley.
Yeah, you need some help being put up toward the top side of this map. It does look like, though, the side of Marshall wants to collapse.
Ice going to be moving in. Shockwave already expanded. Ice dashing in. Nice double knockout coming in. The unstoppable force. But Rift Herald still secured over on the side of Volley. Good damage coming in on the Akali. Gets the kill onto Annie. Now chasing in, looking to try to take out the Amumu, but very tanky over on that front. Gets slowed down by the Malphite. Chasing in the Jhin, looking for this kill.
Oh, they're
nice
going.
stun coming in. The crescendo to top it all off. And still able to find that kill. Orianna over on the sidelines doesn't seem to be in any much danger. We'll see the Malphite being pushed away at this point. Orianna and Braum now trying to support the team and force Marshall out of their jump.
Still, though, Marshall, they really needed to try and find a fight in their favor, and they finally were able to get it. A nice combo, and you can see what happens when you get this team fight composition online and when you're actually able to have a Malphite come in and help join in on getting some of that CC. But you do see the amount of resources that had to be expended for this Akali kill, and the same fact that Bichan still has a level over this Malphite at the moment and still is able to exert pressure into a side lane. Sure, that slows them down just a little bit, but once that Rift Herald gets put down, things are going to get a little bit out of control, and Marshall had to be quick to stop it.
And I love that you're mentioning about this level disadvantage and this level gain on the Akali, because another thing that we have to mention is while Marshall is playing a composition that doesn't require all that much gold, because at the end of the day, they're still going to be able to have their big ultimates. They're still going to have some level of impact. You still have to have your primary carries. You still have to have people doing damage. And if you only have the Jhin as the player doing damage, you run the really real risk of the Akali just running you down. You have the Lee Sin who can dive into the backline, hit the Hourglass, or have the Guardian's Angel, and suddenly you realize that you can't deal with that problem. So these are some of the issues that kind of have to be considered over on the side of Marshall right now. Who are you investing the gold in? Original Matt we saw in that last fight get deleted by the Akali. It's an easy pickup for that assassin there. So they have to rush with defensive items early, get the Hourglass when they can, and start playing to assist Original Matt and to assist the Jhin to get to a point of power.
And now this is kind of your worst case nightmare you're starting to see here on the side of Marshall. The Akali was able to take down the second tier tower with the assistance of the Rift Herald. So Shelly comes in, gets a quick knock, able to get some extra gold. And now you got to be a little concerned because that Akali could always just roam down to mid lane. The fact is the Rift is pretty small in comparison to what a lot of these players might be used to on the PC version, but you're able to roam extremely fast. We do see Marshall at the very least saying, okay, we got to get some objectives, but look at the top side of that mini map. You gotta deal with the fact that you're gonna have the Akali and the fight breaking out over at Dragon.
Looking to try and take down the Amumu first, moving forward, looking for the curse of the set. Mommy, nice shot. Catches off multiple members on the side of Marshall, but they still aren't going down just yet. So very tanky.
Misty?
Looking to try to take down Misty, gets the kill off. Now we jump over, taking a look onto the fight. Jhin moves in to join the rest of his team. This Akali is absolutely massive. The assassin, such a real threat right now. Kill jumps in, gets a triple, looking for a fourth. Looking for this Quadra, wasn't able to find the Shuriken to get the jump back onto life, but still going to be happy and content with that one.
And this is now we finally get to see an Orianna ultimate that has such massive impact during a team fight. A 4-man shockwave coming down, and that is the risk. Sure, you might be a team that has the Amumu and you're looking at a Dragon Pit fight saying, yeah, this is good to go. We have Malphite, but one big Orianna ultimate is able to slow down the fight long enough to allow Bichan on this Akali to roam into the fight. And because there's been so much gold injected onto this assassin that once she gets onto the backline, you saw it, the perfect execution, just deleted 2 members off the second activation, and that's absolutely disgusting.
Working with their strengths, they played around an objective. They knew they could win. And Dragon started up by Marshall was a little bit over-aggressive, but I understood the process. They were looking to try and pick up the objective while they had manpower in that area. But in that fight, you could also see that over in the Baron lane, the Akali was dealing with the turret, and so Jhin had to be sent up to kind of act in response for that, right? So it's called in response. Akali goes up, calls the Jhin back, because Jhin is honestly one of the only players that's still able to deal with that Akali threat. Meanwhile, another fight breaks out. Akali joining in, looking to try and take down original Matt. The damage comes through. It's an easy pickup. Now chasing off onto Ice. Ice damage is going to be enough to shred even the tankiest members on the side of Marshall. Exhaust looking to try and just slow him down for as long as possible. Ice goes into stasis a little bit longer, delays down Volley, but it doesn't stop them. They're still going in. They're still looking for the inhibitor and trying to chase this one down. Current call comes through, looking to try and push them away. The crescendo stops the Akali in her tracks. Turret still up, and Volley with 3 members forces Marshall to respond.
But you see that, again, exact same situation. The Orianna comes in, gets a nice shockwave onto 2 of the tanky members, and that poor Annie, sure, she didn't get caught out by a shockwave, but there's a Akali facing you down right in the middle of your jungle, and that's what's going to happen. And it's kind of insane because these fights, if you take a look at the score total, it's 8-9. As far as kills, you'd say this is a very even game, but because of the disparity that has now happened in the top side of the map, if this Akali is anywhere near the fight, it's an instant loss in most cases for Marshall, and they need to start getting this CC onto that primary carry that's coming out right now on the side of Volley.
But it's been difficult to do so. We've seen moments where Ice has been able to stack his ultimate along with the Malphite's the unstoppable force together, and it still isn't enough. They lack the damage to be able to find the first kill, to find the takedown onto the Akali, because at the end of the day, you know, there's so many spells, there's so many items that could potentially protect the Akali. Once you get that hourglass, just staying in stasis for a little bit longer drops the shroud. And all these combined make it so hard to lock her down. Their main damage source is currently that Jhin, and Jhin requires auto attacks. If you can't see it, if you can't target it, you can't do damage.
Yeah, you have quite a difficult time to say the very least. So, unfortunately there, though, if I'm on the side here of Marshall, I got to be a bit concerned that, you know, maybe I don't see where things are going, but now you go see this Baron attempt, and that's a rather risky go.
Big startup, Ice hovering over by the side, looking to try and get a flank off. They're going to perhaps start this one up. Okay, walks into the pit, decides it might not be the wisest idea, jumping in, looking for his cash. Great use of the curse of Set Mummy. Jumps in with the lockdown, gets the first kill, takes down the Braum, but to trade back, the Amumu gets killed off. Huge shockwave, kills them all off. And Missy survives through all of that, doesn't go down. Now with the final hour chasing down final members of Marshall, decide it's not even worth it. They're going to go for the Baron instead. They're going to look for this big neutral objective and look to end off the game.
And again, it kind of goes back to what you were talking about a little bit early on there, Grandin, where sure, you're able to get this massive combo, but the issue is if you only catch out one of these members, if there's still an Orianna to delay a fight with a shockwave, it allows time for the Akali to move on over. And the fact that Misty didn't actually go down, that is devastating and very much could have been the fight in which Marshall took back full control of this game, but instead now they're looking at losing their base.
Yeah, Baron was honestly one of the biggest opportunities that Marshall probably had to get back into the game. Right now, the Elden Trade could be another possible win con, but with how much control Volley have off the jungle, off the map, very difficult to get in. You're kind of just dealing to stall for time and hope for the best right now. But Volley have already hit the point of power. They've already hit this big power spike. A quick reset, they come back in, push together, maybe send the Akali into the side lane, because at this point, this Akali, Bichan is able to kill off Malphite is able to kill off the Amumu, the tanks don't really matter in the face of this Akali. So it's an easy matchup. It's an easy execution. Split push, group up, whatever you want. As long as you play the team fight well, you should be able to win off the game.
Again, it comes back to that thing where we mentioned, you know, the team is now in prime position. Like, it has been a bloody game back and forth where both teams are trading kill for kill. But the fact is, all of it went on to this Akali, and it doesn't matter because there is your engage coming in underneath the tower.
Chasing in, looking to try and end this game off. The inhibitor turret won't be able to do anything as he gets taken down. Now chasing forward. The shockwave won't even be necessary as the damage for this Akali comes through way too quickly. Chasing in for this last bit, but it doesn't even matter. They end off the game. The Nexus goes down, and Team Volley pick up this quick win.
And there you go. Volley, they're going to be pretty